Alright, so what you're looking at here is I've got a couple of mosquito sprayers. I have my daily driver I've been using for the past few years is the Invatec 915. It's a gas-powered mosquito fogger. And then next to it here I have the brand new Tomahawk battery-powered mosquito sprayer, which comes with a 30-volt, it's a 7.5 amp-hour battery. It's the very first battery-powered mosquito sprayer that I will get to try out. And I should mention Tomahawk did send this to me for an honest review. There's no affiliation or no sponsorships involved here, but I did want to give that thing a try, so I was super excited when Tomahawk offered to send that to me. So I'm going to be comparing the two. I'm going to be making an actual mosquito application today. I'm not just going to be spraying water, so you notice I have long sleeves on, I have long pants. I'm also going to be using some chemical resistant gloves to mix up the chemical, but I'm going to be spraying a couple of properties. I'm going to use the gas on my own property. I'm going to use the battery on a neighbor's property. I'm going to go ahead and treat their property for mosquitoes. I'm going to be comparing a couple of different things, just overall feel, noise level, how it performs, and things of that nature. So let's get into actually using the sprayers, and then we'll talk a little bit more about them afterwards. So I've got my liquid mixed up in here. I'm not really going to go into that too much. This is more about the equipment. I do have other videos about the insect growth regulators and the contact killers that I like to use for mosquito applications. But just at first, you know, these pads are really thick and comfortable. Now both sprayers kind of have the same features as far as, you know, controlling. They've got the controls here for the speed. It has a cruise control setting on here on the Tomahawk, and then when you're ready to actually disperse your liquid, there is a valve here that'll open up, and the tank will gravity feed into this line right here that will come out of the end, and this will kind of disperse all of that liquid and make it into a mist while the air blows out. So I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna run across the street, and we're gonna go ahead and spray for mosquitoes over there, and then we're gonna come back and spray over here on my property. Alright, now on the Invatec, this is the 4.7 horsepower 2-cycle engine. It's going to be a fuel to oil mix, of course, with every 2-cycle model out there. It does have a 4-gallon tank attached. So Invatec, the ratings on this from directly from the manufacturer at 4.7 horsepower is going to give you 230 miles per hour airspeed out of the blower tube. So when you're spraying, that's going to give you up to 32 feet of vertical spraying height. So if you're out spraying tall trees, or you've got some large shrubs and evergreens and things like that, it'll get you up to 32 feet. That is if weather conditions are ideal. If you've got a little bit of wind, maybe 10-mile-an-hour wind or something along those lines, you're going to lose a little bit of that vertical height. But overall, it's going to get pretty high up into the spaces that you want to spray into. And I should mention, with a 4-gallon tank, this does weigh 25 pounds. Dry. Once you add your fuel and you add your 4 gallons of water, that's going to add a significant amount of weight to it. So just keep that in mind when you're using an engine drive piece of equipment like this. There's going to be some added weight to it compared to battery models. Now, comparing the specs from the Invatec over to the Tomahawk also has a 4-gallon tank, and It actually, because there's no engine drive, it's battery powered. It has a 7.5 amp hour battery. My observation with this is that it took 30 minutes to charge from completely empty, and according to Tomahawk, that will last you 2 hours of continuous spraying time if you are in the turbo mode. Up here on the handle, there is a turbo button that will allow you to spray more volume than it does with the setting out of the box. So with everything the way that it is, airspeed on this is going to be 150 miles per hour, so significantly less than the Invitec. However, you can still spray up to 30 feet vertically with this if conditions are just right. So we're talking about wind and other factors that kind of play into you being able to actually spray a mist that high into the air. And this weighs 18 pounds, so a little bit lighter than the Invitec. Not a whole lot lighter, although I did definitely feel that when I had the tanks full of water. The Invitec maybe had a little bit lower center of gravity because of the engine, where the Tomahawk felt a little bit more top heavy, but it definitely, you could tell the weight difference between the two just because of the lack of the additional fluids and also the engine on the Tomahawk. So this one was definitely pretty comfortable. Now if we turn them around and we look at the backside of the sprayer, if you're using these with any regularity, you're going to want something that's going to be comfortable, especially if you're using it on a daily basis. You're going to want to save your back and your shoulders. Both of these units have very nicely padded shoulder straps. You can see these are all very thick. I will say I'd like to give the edge here to the Tomahawk. It does have relatively the same amount of padding on here. I like the design of the padded lower lumbar area. You can see down here. That definitely felt nice when I was using it. And then also you have these side straps that kind of come around the side of your body. It just felt a little bit more stable whenever I was using it. The Invitec though does have some nice padding on the back of it. Very nice design. I just think the edge really goes to the Tomahawk here with the well thought out lumbar pad right here, and then also the pack straps kind of being more high up and not as kind of loose and form-fitting, or less form-fitting than it is on the Invitec. And the last thing I want to point out here, both of these models use the exact same type of trigger mechanism for actually putting the solution out through the tube, as well as actually operating the blower. So there's a valve on each one of these blowers. Right now they're closed, but if you open these valves, it will allow the solution in the tank to be gravity fed down into this tube, and you have a selector here at the bottom that will give you the option to either allow more fluid to come out or less, depending on what type of chemicals you're spraying. If you're using something that requires a smaller micron size, you want to dial this thing back a little bit to actually allow a little bit less fluid to come through those tubes. Both of these models use that exact same feature. And then of course, if you want to throttle it up, you'd simply just pull on the throttle. On the Tomahawk, there's a turbo button right here. You push the turbo button and that gives you a little bit more airspeed whenever you're spraying, and you have a cruise control function here. Same can be said for the Invitec. If you want to start it up, there's a start and stop button as your kill switch, and then you also have, of course, if you want to set this on a cruising where you don't have to pull the throttle down all the time, you have that option as well. So both of these, as far as functionality, pretty much the exact same setup. It's time to wrap this thing up with my final thoughts on the sprayers. Of course, as I mentioned, Tomahawk sent me the battery powered sprayer to try out. As far as I know, I am the first person to actually try this sprayer out and put that onto the internet. And then my daily driver, the Invitec, this is a model that I really like a lot. I've been using it for a couple of years on my own property and some other properties as well. Although for me, I'm starting to change my perspective on battery powered equipment. A few years ago, I really didn't see the benefit to it. I thought that using batteries was a little bit counterproductive because of you having to charge them all the time. But fumbling with gas is kind of a con with a gas-powered sprayer, and then having to charge batteries all the time is kind of a pitfall when it comes to battery-powered sprayers. So kind of take the good with the bad on both of these models, but I thought overall comfort and operability, I really like the Tomahawk. I like the lighter weight. I can do just as much as I can with the battery-powered sprayer than I can with this gas-powered sprayer. Both of these models come in under $500, so comparatively, they're right in the same price point as far as point of entry. If you're a professional applicator, I would suggest probably investing in a second battery so that you can have one charged at all times in case you run up on your 2-hour spraying limit and you need another battery. Just go ahead and charge one while you're using the other sprayer. But overall, these are both really good sprayers. I gotta say, I really like this Tomahawk. Battery powered equipment is really starting to kind of make its way and fold into my equipment because I'm adopting more and more battery powered options as I can, because I really don't want to mess with gas and winterizing and maintenance and things. It's just much easier to have a battery powered piece of equipment and saves me a lot of time in the long run. So I think if you're considering buying a battery powered or a gas powered sprayer, these are both great options for you. If you're looking at a battery powered option, as far as I know, Tomahawk is kind of the only option right now, although this model was done really, really well. So I hope that you all like the content here. If you have any questions, leave those down in the comment section below. And of course, leave me a like. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you in the next one.